Are we ready to deal with such pandemics in the future? Is the Indian healthcare system learned something to deal with such pandemics in the future?
Anurag, this kind of pandemic, one cannot be prepared. Disaster means disaster. One would not know what kind of disaster comes and what it really can, put into trouble. This disaster is a true disaster for developed markets, because developed markets have older people. There is a correlation between per capita income and the age of the individuals. So India has had an advantage, and I believe we are going to manage COVID very well. But I don't think we know what is likely to come in next 10, 20 years, because no one expected COVID to happen.
And what do you think of Supreme Court decision of making private testing free a right decision?
See, with all said and done, public interest litigations can truly be troubling every administration. I think there was a request, there was a pressure, and Supreme Court felt that, why common man has to pay, why not government can pay? There was no representation from government to listen what kind of challenges they have got. So Supreme Court did order that tests should be done free of cost. Now, this comes as a very big blow, and it also said the government to work out a mechanism to pay to the laboratories for making it free. Now, government is in a soup, because that will run into huge bills, which they can't truly today in this situation too. And also, government is aware that the testing is not true diagnostic solution. So they went back after 3 days, and the Supreme Court heard them, and they already are providing, using Ayushman, a free testing, free treatment, everything in Ayushman hospitals. And government felt, and they rightly felt so, real poor will go through Ayushman. The rich only will go to private laboratories. And if the rich go to private laboratories, let them pay, because government wants everybody to, shoulder the budget, the burden. So I am fully well convinced that if the testing is seen, 90% will be only above the midpoint of the pyramid. Only 10% will be below the midpoint of the pyramid, not because they don't become ill. It is because they may not even have resources to reach to a hospital and do the testing. They may get cured without that. So government has saved a lot of money, and it is good to hear that the rich will pay for themselves, for poor government will pay. Indian government is doing some subsidy, state governments are doing some subsidy. For us sitting in Mumbai, even BMC is doing a lot of support, getting a lot of CSR funds. So I think it is good, and the SC has correctly, that is Supreme Court has correctly, timely modified it. Otherwise, it would have been a very big burden on government of India.
Thank you so much. One more, crisis separates leaders from leaders. What kind of leadership is needed in these times, and what do you have to say to other leaders? We can all learn from each other.
Anurag, unfortunately, our way of learning business is going to business schools and seeing how businesses were run, and businesses were run in good times. Businesses were run by huge investments, and basics are in place. But that is not the true business. Businesses are very dynamic, changing. Every 5 years it is changing. So 25 years back, business school teaching today is not relevant. That's number one. Number two, all CEOs,
So you want me to go to a business school again? I went to a business school.
It's not too late. You are too young to go, but you keep learning where you are. I never went to your business school. I don't think business school going is truly learning leadership. It is only helping you to add little more. Number one, today, 95% of the leaders only can run the running vehicle efficiently. They can't create a vehicle and run it. Number one. Number two, the vehicle becomes sick, ill because of this kind of disaster and calamity. They just don't know what will work to make it again stand and run it. So I am seeing for the last 1 month, many people have just given up and relaxing, thinking that something will happen. Let me rework on it. Once lockdown is over, once government announces me some subsidy, let me look at it. Let me tell you, it truly is testing your ability, A, energy level, B, decision making, C, courage to take that decision and implement, energy levels, focus levels, communication levels, everything at its peak, so that you get up fast and you run ahead of it. So there are challenges. Today, plenty of CEOs, appointed CEOs, given just a target. Look, guy, I am running at 23% EBITDA. You need to make sure you are adding 2 more percent. That is much simpler. There is a likelihood EBITDA levels 23% has come down to 2%. How will you build it back? That's the true testing time. A lot need to be learned.
So how do you build it back? How do you build it back? And let me ask you a very personal question. Let me ask you,
yes.
In COVID times, testing for, let's say, ThyroCare was founded on a premise of, thyroid and, testing. You pioneered that and you took it to masses. You made it affordable, right? And you built a scale. Now, all other testing, mostly in all labs, has come down to a standstill, right? If zero or close to zero, right?
Yes.
Now, the focus is not on that. So how does one build business? Similarly, if you look at airlines, you look at restaurants, there's lots of businesses I can name which have suddenly become standstill. Their fixed costs stay, their employees stay. So how does one prepare for the future? And how do you make the best of what you have?
Yeah, Anurag, there is something known as preparedness. Lucky are those who are prepared when the opportunity came. I must tell you, when SARS came 6 years back, I was not into microbiology testing because I was a mathematician, started only lifestyle disorder, and I had no inclination. But 3-4 years back, we felt that we must manage tuberculosis because tuberculosis is a big menace. Let us look at it from even CSR angle. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make profit. Let us work on it. So for 3-4 years back, I landed into tuberculosis. Now government approves and gives me a testing approval for COVID. Now COVID is very new to me. But within 20 days, Anurag, we have reached to the highest capacity of 1,000 per day, which is no one in the country is doing. Trust me, had that business been also parallelly running, I would have not mastered this to this extent. Today, I have got around 40% of the turnover only from COVID in my total business, which means when non-COVID business resumes, I should be doing 150% of what I was doing in January 2020. So that is known as was prepared. I thank my stars because my employees ask me, sir, where from you got this idea to start microbiology just 2-3 years back? So I think a few things helped me, and I have been sitting in the cockpit and my people are running. Anurag, it is lockdown, and how do you get the specimen? And Anurag, the biggest challenge is blood collection is much simpler. You don't need to wear a PPE. Now PPE is costly for each patient. PPE was 1,200 rupees in my first 1,000 patients. We have to go to their home collecting. The swab is a very different, totally different technology. It is like a cab driver running helicopter. So to that extent, it was challenge. But I must tell you, एक हिंदी में एक पंचलाइन है, निकल पड़ो रास्ता अपने आप बनता है. तो मैं तो निकल पड़ा. आज I am very happy to tell our people have completed 6,000 investigations, and our team is feeling confident, and they feel they can scale it to 60,000 also, even within 6 months period. So that and all is ability. But I will tell you, I am fortunate to be in healthcare. The need of the hour is healthcare. In healthcare, they have completely closed down non-COVID, and they have focused only on COVID. So a kind of support for healthcare is happening even today. All my competitors are doing fairly. business which is not distress. But I agree with you. Travel tourism is gone completely. Hospitality industries are gone completely. In fact, 60% of the hospitals are closed down because some of the nurses and doctors are infected with COVID. So it's a very, serious, gloomy, even for healthcare industry. But it's a matter of weeks or months. It will pass through.